First of all, I have to thank you for talking about the new albums of King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. It's an ecstasy for us to talk about you guys, and also talking about the music. That's all that we want to do here on our radio station. But I can start talking about the latest albums without asking you guys how you're doing. Are you all okay? Are you hanging on this pandemic side of it?
Thanks. That's very courteous of you to ask. We are alive, not dead yet, hanging in there. Just just trying to keep busy, trying to just get by, figure out who we are, what we do, all of that stuff. But yes, we are still here.
Making music is always a way to get your mind away of this crisis, of this pandemic. But at the meantime, you're fueled by it because in King G, for instance, you really take some thoughts about the complexity of humanity and his existence, right? Like songs like Minimum Brain Size or Ontology. How it was for you guys also to talk about that and trying to travel and the sounds to get away from that also.
I think having music, it sounds actually really cheesy to say, but having music was super helpful in this time because it meant there's always something to do. You know what I mean? Like there's always something to write or something to um, play, or if you can find the motivation, there's always more to do or more to learn or more to think about. Um, it's I think KG and LW, they're both pretty sort of pensive records. They're kind of reflective, talking a lot about humanity and our place and who we are and what are we doing. Uh, it's kind of a paranoid kind of record. I think it just sort of reflects the paranoid, sort of fearful kind of time that we have all been in. You know.
And can we say that KG continues the idea of flying microtonal banana because the subtitle is also explorations into microtonal tuning, volume two. In which ways they manage to get together and also to be in one piece of all.
So with Flying Mactonal Banana, which was back in 2017, we started to experiment with microtonal tunings, which I guess means uh, you're adding extra notes, or there's notes between the notes, like the key in between, the two keys that are usually next to each other on a piano. There's an infinite amount of notes in between that. Um, but anyway, we started messing around with 24 notes an octave, which is exactly double the amount. So you've got an exact note right in the middle all the time. Um, and that was sort of the genesis of Flying Mactona Banana. Um, and that was a really fun record to make. It was one of the the most kind of intuitive and obvious records that we've ever made, even though we're kind of messing with this, for us, quite foreign concept of microtonality. It just felt right when we made that record. It really came together. It was just it just felt it felt intuitive, which was not what we expected. Um, so we always looked forward to kind of going to that place again, getting into that world, and yeah, and then here we are. We thought we were making one record, and we, I guess, accidentally made two. So so this time we wanted to expand the idea a little bit more. Um, Flying Mactona Banana is kind of, it's limited in its scope on purpose. We wanted to have a sound and a feel, and all of the songs are recorded in the same space, and it just sounds like a band. We wanted it to sound like that. We wanted it to feel like a capsule. Um, KG and LW, we wanted to feel much more open, sonically varied. There's heavy songs, there's soft songs, there's quiet tones, there's grating tones. It's more of a rainbow of spectrum of vibes for sure.
I was saying just that because Flying Microtonal Banana is one side, one dimension side of the sounds and the music and the purpose. But with this volume two, we have more dimensions, a rainbow of sounds, like you said, and also a rainbow of influences because we have the African sounds, the desert blues sounds, the Turkish sounds, the Arabics. How it was for you guys to explore that, and what in which purpose?
I think, yeah, again, going back to Flying Magton and Banana, when we made that record, it wouldn't have felt right to explore all those different sounds because we were kind of zeroing in on this singular kind of vision, and we had an idea of what that record should sound like, and we wanted to follow that through. You know, we wanted to finish that, and in a sense, I think of that as one big song. Like it's Flying Microtonal Banana. You know, it's sort of like one big song to me, or it's one big jam session that all just feels fluid. This one felt free. You know, it felt that was the point. It was like, let's do that microtonal thing this time, but there's no sound on purpose. We'll figure out how it all sticks together later. We'll figure out how to make this work later. But for now, in the kind of writing process, it was like, yeah, the more far out, the better, you know, or whatever is cool. Just write what you feel, you know. And so that was a nice feeling. I think all of those influences have always been there. I think maybe we've gotten a little more confident at going for it, you know.
And also how it was to challenge yourselves to going to that side of the imagery of the sounds of the desert, of the African sounds, and also to explore that, but at the same time of producing yourselves the albums. How it was for you guys to manage that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you're talking about kind of producing this record
Yeah.
in a bloody pandemic, it was like so strange. It was so hard. We, you a fair few of us started making music as what you would call bedroom musicians, myself included. A few of us, that was how we started. I was making kind of little demo recordings or whatever in my bedroom or my garage or whatever years before Gizzard started. They were the first recordings I ever made, really, before I played a lot in other bands and stuff. It just felt like, I don't know, making a song by overdubbing on top of yourself feels right to me. It's something that I've done a lot of, and a couple of the other guys are like that. But King Gizzard hasn't really been that band. Like, we've always been a band where everyone gets together a lot, and even if on a particular recording everyone isn't on it, we're always talking about what we're doing. We're always in the same room. We're always showing each other recordings. You know, when you're in the same space and you're listening to music together, you get ideas and you riff off each other. So we had to learn how to make music without that. And that was the biggest challenge of this record, was because when we first started having these ideas to make another microtonal record, it was before coronavirus. So a few of these songs have their genesis in those times, and you know, we just thought we were kind of business as usual, making a record like we always do. But we had to kind of put all that on hold and just think, okay, this isn't ending anytime soon. You know, we're making records from our bedroom for a while. Who knows how long, but let's just commit to it. And we just had to learn how to work. So Cavs, the drummer, he set up microphones on his drum kit in his garage, which he'd never ever done before. And yeah, I would send him songs and he would send me drum recordings back. We would just upload songs to Dropbox or whatever and send them around, and people would overdub on them and send them back. We just like slowly figured out how to do it. And it was kind of just an open thing. You know, there was always many songs on the go, and anyone was just free to overdub on them. Basically, every song came together as one overdub at a time. Or every song on this record, one overdub at a time. One person sends something, put it on the track. usually it was up to me to kind of edit things and work out which things would be kept or for which sections, or maybe move this thing around to this other section or this other part. I think it defined the record the records, both of them, in a lot of ways, because I think if we were making records like we usually do, it would have sounded different. A lot of the songs wouldn't have been written at all, and the ones that would have maybe been written would have sounded completely different to they do now.
So do you think that also the pandemic side of it, of recording by yourselves, each and every one of you on his recording studio, home recording studio, doing that also managed to the band to find each other ways of doing stuff all alone and compiling that together? A decade of existence also helped you guys to know each other at some point, that you already know what to do next with the sounds of each and every one of you?
Yeah, I haven't thought about it like that, but I think, oh, there's my lights. It's like a piece of sticky tape on the light switch. It's stuck on.
That was a cool thing.
Yeah, right. It was like a lightning
cool prop.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't thought about it like that a lot, but I think having played with each other so much on the stage or in the rehearsal room or whatever helped probably in the sort of mix and edit stage of what will work, and even writing. I would get something. Ambrose would send me some vocal thing or something, and because I know him and because we've played so much music together, I feel like I know how to push him in the right way. It's like, I love what you did, man, but why don't you make it a tiny bit more like this? Like, or the same with all of the guys. There's always an element of that in making the records, and I think having made so much music together, that it really did make it easier. It was still weird, but I think we made the records that we made. They only could have been made now, and I'm proud of that.
Mm-hmm. How it was to have one album and the next instance have two, because KG and LW feels like the same. It starts with KGLW, it ends with KGLW on the next side of it. Do you thought that it's also some sort of closing a chapter of the first decade of the band and starting the new decade of the band on with these two albums?
Yeah, maybe you could look at it like that. I think you can. I think you can look at it like that if you want. A lot of people reached out and said, "Is this going to be your last album? Like, is this the end? Are you finishing? Are you finishing up?" And I was like, "No, definitely not. Like, we've already finished. I mean, we're pretty close to finishing the next one. So we're not done yet." It felt like this record, or these two records. Sorry, I'm trying to articulate what I'm saying. The theme song KGLW was almost the last thing that was written, because it needed a theme. The whole project needed a theme. It was just a bunch of songs, and there's always there was, of course, like all these, there's a lot of recurring themes, and there's a lot of sounds that kind of like tie the record together. But it needed a theme song. We wanted an overture, we wanted like a theme song, and it's kind of as simple as that. It was an opening. It was a theme song. It was always called KGLW because it felt like the band's walk-on song. It's like the opening, like you come to the King Gizzard show. There's the music. It plays when we start, and that was for the opening piece that's on KG, and the idea actually came up pretty last minute to do sort of a heavy version of KGLW. It was sort of short to begin with, like a couple of minutes, and it was kind of more similar in structure to the intro, but it just kept growing. Like it just kept on getting bigger and stranger and heavier and stuff. And so we wanted to kind of push that to its logical conclusion. So, I mean, I don't know. It is as simple as that. It feels like a 2-part to me. It feels like both records, which we tried to have a beginning, middle, and end to both records. We tried to have them both kind of tell a story, but then with this overarching kind of like double record narrative thing. Anyway, that's what we tried to do. that's the idea anyway.
You're talking about the narratives of the albums and how they tied together. How do you explain the narratives of the KG and the LW albums?
Lyrically?
Yeah.
I think, you know, the times that we're living in have been sort of paranoid, a lot of fear, a lot of like anger, frustration, a lot of reflection on humanity. At the same time, you know, when we started this record, Australia was like literally on fire. Yeah. There's just sort of a lot of humanity reflection, I think, is probably what like the main overarching theme. And it's not a lyrically joyous record. It's kind of pensive. Mm-hmm. A lot of our records do have a pretty clear narrative arc, or at least a story that runs from start to finish. We didn't want that on this one. We wanted to kind of have more imagery or related kind of themes and stories and stuff. It just felt right, and it felt that was more in line with the rainbow mm-hmm. musical aesthetic.
I'm asking you guys about that because I felt that in the last year, King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard had that thought about the humanity side of it with KG and also LW, but also with the humanity to the fans, to give them shows on the other side of it, giving bootlegs of your shows. And also trying to commit with them for instance, with automation, with the sound remix sound of that song and the video. And also, I think that in some sort of way you are asking yourselves about the band in himself. What are you doing? What we were going to do? Am I right about that?
I think, you know, with the bootleg stuff and all of that, yeah, maybe that wouldn't have happened if we were on tour and we were connecting with fans all the time. Maybe it just feels right. I don't know. Yeah, I've always felt that the kind of, the people who are connected with King Giz, or whether they're a fan or occasional listener or whatever, I want them to feel like they're part of the story, because they are part of the story, and they sort of like spur us on and give us ideas. The bootlegger thing was an obvious thing to me, to do that. So yeah, I don't know. It's as simple as that. I'm just trying to be inclusive and get as many people involved as possible, and just have a fun time with it.
And you have some kind of we call it in Portuguese saudade. You miss to be with the people, to be on the shows, to be on the live stage, to be with the fans. So it's some sort of that you're missing out. That right?
Yeah, that's right. And you know, so many. I feel like I don't have much of a license to complain at the moment, because so many people have done it tough this year. But it has been a little tricky for us to not tour, because you're just like, who am I? What's my purpose? What am I doing here? You know, this thing that we've all worked so hard on for so many years, and then instantly it's like, oh yeah, you can't do that anymore. So yeah, I think as it's continued on, and the longer that we are in Australia and home for and not on the road, it feels like the connection is more important than ever, because it gives us a purpose. It gives everyone else a purpose who's involved with the band. It's just like, yeah, we're still here. We're still doing stuff. Yeah, I think it's as simple as that, you know.
Yeah, the purpose is the people, the journey with the people that is around us, and
That's right.
to trying to connect them. So that's the main purpose. So
Yeah.
we need to focus on that. Also, I want to ask you. You talked about your nearly wrapping up the new album. How it was to continue doing a new album on this side of doing it in a homemade studio, and working on it.
The next record is, I don't want to say too much because I want it to be a bit of a surprise.
Okay.
But if KG and LW was the kind of learning curve of figuring out how to make records in this kind of setting, I think by the time we got to this record, we'd figured out how to do it. And this record leans into this sort of I don't know, 6 people in different places kind of thing. It leans into that feel. It's a record that we all wouldn't have known how to make a couple of years ago. So I'm very excited for it. It's actually one of my favorite things we've done. I think it's very much a start to finish listen. It's got its own little feel. It's got its own little world. It exists in its own little corner of the Gizzard catalog, for sure.
Oh, nice one. I'm really thrilled to listen to that soon. Also, I have to ask you one more question to wrap it up. How do you guys manage to not doing live stages and tours? How, do you thought on something else to trying to connect you guys also to rehearse and something like that? How do you manage that on this pandemic side?
Yeah, we haven't done any shows, any live streams. We haven't done anything. But we actually have 3 concerts coming up in Melbourne, so that is going to be amazing. Of course. But yeah, we've just tried to find ways to be creative in other ways and try and scratch that itch. We kind of made the decision pretty early on to just not force things until it felt right. And so many people doing live streams, which I think is really amazing. We're all sort of happy to kind of like work on the recorded music instead at this point in time, and let the shows be ephemeral, I guess. So I don't know. We're just out here surviving.
But that's still manageable here in Australia, because here in Europe, for instance, there are no shows, there are no concerts, there's no viability or when it's gonna happen. So you still manage to do shows here there in Australia. You said
we haven't done any yet. There has been a few in Australia. I mean, I've got my fingers crossed that they're actually going to happen. Right now, in Australia, there's like very few cases of coronavirus. So we're pretty fortunate out here at the moment. So we're going to take what we can get and go from there. We'll see. I hope they happen. I'm half expecting something, will cause them to cancel, whatever. But we're really hoping that they happen. Be very cool.
Okay, perfect.
Just like old times.
Yeah, let's try to do old times for once.
Yeah. Can't wait to be back. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, we hope so, and strive to it. So see you soon, Stuart, and thank you a lot.
Awesome. Thank you, Pedro. Take it easy.
Ciao.
Ciao.